This program was previously recorded. Hello and welcome to this week's edition of the Porter County Perspective. I'm Jo Parlock of WDSO's News Department, and this week I have the pleasure of having Harshini Ratnayaka and Katie Hobgood in the studio with me. And Harshini is the Advocacy Coordinator, and Katie Hobgood is the Program Director of Save the Dunes. Thank you for coming in today.
Thanks for having us.
First, can you both introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about your background and what brought you to Northwest Indiana and the Save the Dunes organization?
So my name is Katie Hobgood. As you said, I'm the program director at Save the Dunes. I've been with the organization for about 3.5 years. Before that, I was with another nonprofit working in education, and I was born and raised in Northwest Indiana. So I grew up in Portage, and I now live in Valparaiso.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so thanks for having us again. So my name's Harshini Ratnayaka. I'm the Advocacy Coordinator for Save the Dunes. I've been up here for about 9 months now. I am not from here. Complete opposite of Katie almost. I am from New Orleans, Louisiana, so I came up here for the job, and I just, came here. Katie and the team showed me around, and I fell in love with this area. Northwest Indiana is such a beautiful place, with, the dunes, of course, and the different ecosystems, and I definitely, accepted the job right away when I came up here, and been here ever since. So still learning a lot from the Hoosier environment, as we say, the Hoosiers in the world, but I love it here, and people are really willing to let me know about all the different things that are going on, advocacy related. So it's wonderful. Such a joy to be here. So thanks for having us again.
All right, before we go more in depth, can you tell us briefly what Save the Dunes is and what their longstanding mission has been?
Sure. So Save the Dunes is a nonprofit organization. We were founded in 1952. Our mission is to preserve and protect the Indiana Dunes, Lake Michigan, and the surrounding natural areas for the health and vitality of the environment and the people who live, work, and recreate in Northwest Indiana. And we activate that mission through our work in conservation, advocacy, and community engagement.
How would you say that mission has evolved from its original inception? Have any new goals been added to that original mission?
For sure. So back when our organization was first founded, again, it's 1952, the mission was literally to save the dunes. So at that time, the Lake Michigan shoreline was being really quickly developed and sand mined, and the dunes were being destroyed. Large industries were being installed. So our organization was founded to protect what remained, to save the remaining dunes. Over the years, as the threats have evolved to the Dunes region, our work has evolved in the way that we carry out our mission.
The Save the Dunes organization has been around for quite a long time. Can you tell us some of the history behind it, even though that was a lot of the former answer?
Sure. There's so much fascinating history when it comes to conservation in Northwest Indiana. This region was the birthplace of ecology at the turn of the century. A professor from the University of Chicago was coming here, Henry Chandler Coles, to study the plant ecology and the succession of how plants move from, the beach to the dunes to the forested dunes. And it's really a fascinating story, but that's kind of the turn of the century time frame is when the interest in the Indiana Dunes region started. And it never died, but World War I really kind of slowed down the progress of conserving the Indiana Dunes. It was proposed to be one of the very first national parks, but World War I, we needed steel, not national parks. So that got put on hold and then kind of revitalized, and that's where the Save the Dunes Council came in 1952 to try and push for the preservation of the remaining sand dunes for a national park. And that was a struggle. It was a long battle. We engaged with some really wonderful advocates, including Paul Douglas. He was an Illinois senator who helped us eventually get some of the dunes preserved in a national lakeshore. And that happened in 1966. And so it's just been a long history of advocacy and hard work and, strong people, particularly strong women, really working towards, what they were passionate about.
How has the size of the park expanded from the original designated parcel of land to now in 2023?
So when it was originally designated in 1966, it was just over 8,000 acres. Since then, at least 3 expansion bills have been pushed through Congress with the support of Save the Dunes to increase the size of the national park. Now it's about 15,000 acres.
Who are some people that have been involved with the Save the Dunes organization who have played like an important role or a notable role?
I would say my number one person is Dorothy Buell. She was our founder. She was the very first president of Save the Dunes. Started in her living room in Ogden Dunes, and she was a force to be reckoned with and really led to the success of our organization. But there were many, many advocates. Senator Paul Douglas is another big one. But there's, Charlotte and Herb Reed, or there's just so many amazing people who dedicated their lives to this effort. And without them, I don't know that the dunes would be saved, that we'd have any, natural dune left.
So recently, Save the Dunes saw the fulfillment of one of its goals. Can you tell us a little about the process by which the Indiana Dunes National Lakeshore finally became the Indiana Dunes National Park?
Yes, that was a very exciting moment for us. That was kind of the goal at the onset, right? Was create a national park, and for so long it was a national lakeshore, which is still part of the national park system, but just a different designation. So believe it or not, it's really just a name change. What happened in 2019? It was a little bit of magic performed by former Congressman Pete Visclosky right before he left his office in his final term. He had the name change added to a budget appropriations bill. Just kind of snuck it in there, and it was signed by the president. So the name was officially changed to a national park, and that doesn't necessarily come with extra funding or protection for the area, but it does help raise the profile, and it has increased visitorship substantially to the area.
Can you think of any surprising facts about the Indiana Dunes that listeners might not know or maybe take for granted since it's a local park?
Yeah, I would say I bet most people don't know that the Indiana Dunes National Park has the highest density of plant biodiversity, which means most species per acre, than any other national park in America. This is an incredibly biodiverse area, particularly areas like Coles Bog and Miller Woods and the Indiana Dunes State Park. There's some of our most biodiverse, natural protected areas. We just, go to the beach and enjoy the sunshine, but there's really some wonderful things to experience here if you go and get out to those other places.
Yeah, absolutely. The only thing I would add to that is that like Katie said, there are 12 different types of ecosystems just in the national park. So we have everything from bogs to fens to prairie to everything, so if you want to see a certain type of ecosystem here, this is the place to find it. Another fun fact is I've been on a couple of these birding hikes, and they have about more than 230 types of species of birds just here. Because we just are at that caveat where a lot of these bird migration paths just intersect, and so this is a wonderful place to be if you're an avid birder. So
I've heard.
And if I could just add to what Harshini said, because that's such a good point, that there are the diversities, not just in the plants, but the ecosystem types, right? Mm-hmm. So Save the Dunes, Indiana Dunes, you think of sand dunes or the beach or Lake Michigan. And for a lot of people, that is the image that they have for the Indiana Dunes. But the Indiana Dunes region has so much more. There's almost any ecosystem type you can think of. We have it here, so there's something for everybody.
Yeah, I would say I think on our website we have our favorite places in the dunes for the staff, and I don't think any of us said the beach. I think all of us said one of them was Pinhook Bog, or one of them was Washington Park. I mean, there's such amazing diversity here when it comes to the plants and animals here. So if you haven't checked it out, I recommend our listeners to go check out the different ecosystems and hear what the park rangers have to say, because they love talking about it and they love teaching it to the Hoosiers. So absolutely.
If someone was visiting the park for the first time, what are some of your favorite destinations within the park outside of the main beach entrance on 49?
Well, I answered that. Shoot. Anything else?
Yes. So another, I guess, fun fact that I think they did a study, and it's about half of the Northwest Indiana population does not realize. So the entrance on 49, that's actually going to the Indiana Dunes State Park. which is owned by the state of Indiana, managed by the Indiana Department of Natural Resources. So, you go up to that guardhouse and you pay your $7 and you get into this amazing place, which is one of my favorite places in the Indiana Dunes region. I will say I love our state park. And then surrounding that is the national park. So they're and that's, owned by the National Park Service, the U.S. government. So they are two different park units. It's very confusing because the state park's just right in the middle of the national park, but they have different fees and different access points and different rules. So it's another fun fact of the complexity of our dunes.
Yeah.
Indeed.
So I would say, when it comes to the main entrance, there isn't really a main entrance. Actually, it's funny. I went to a national park workshop this last week, and they were asking them the same question of, where's the main entrance? And the superintendent for the national park looked at his other workers, were like, I don't think we have a main entrance. West Beach has an entrance, things like that, but there's no actual main entrance for the national park. So that's also a little bit of a confusion on that end as well. So,
looking toward the future of Save the Dunes and the Indiana Dunes National Park, what are some current projects and goals the organization has for the future?
We have so many goals. We're growing our team currently, so it's a lot of exciting opportunities in our future, particularly with the national park. I would say that one of the things that we work with them on really frequently is partnering to identify resources for on-the-ground restoration. So, applying for collaborative grants where we can get them more money to be doing things like invasive species management. We're also doing quite a bit of regional planning work and working with different partners to look at conservation work at a landscape level so that it's not, everybody working on their own property in their own silos. It's, collaborating and finding opportunities to amplify our work together. Yeah.
Yeah, that's amazing. That was a lot of the conservation stuff. I would say for the advocacy stuff, we're just starting. So this is a new position. My role is a new position. So we're still trying to figure out how we can get involved. But we've in the past, advocacy-wise, we've been involved with the public trust, so just making sure that the Lake Michigan shoreline is accessible to all Hoosiers, not that these private owners who, will come in and try and say that they have deeds to this land that, were before Indiana became a state of the nation and trying to basically make the Lake Michigan shoreline a private property versus a public property where anybody can just walk on the shoreline. So just being a defender of that, and then also are continuing our water pollution prevention work. So really working with other partners and also in some ways, making sure that industry knows that we are all part of the same ecosystem, or we should all kind of collaborate when we're trying to make this culture of pollution prevention. So really making sure that these industries, when they are by the shoreline, when they're using it and discharging their pollutants into the Lake Michigan or the other surrounding areas, that they're doing so responsibly, and just making them understand that we are all part of the same place and we all care about it. And so that's another big caveat that we've been working on. But another thing that we are really proud of doing is advocacy in the federal level. So we recently went to DC. I think that's another question down here, so I apologize. But just going to Washington, DC and advocating for Great Lakes issues. So just these federal bipartisan Great Lakes issues. So we are part of Healing Our Waters Great Lakes Coalition, so going to DC and advocating, talking to our legislators, both at the federal and now I want to do state stuff next year, and hopefully we are able to kind of expand our advocacy efforts in that way as well. So making sure that we are talking to, the legislators and the representatives that represent us, and as we're constituents, so we need to make sure that we have a voice.
All right. These are good answers, you guys.
Oh, good.
You guys you're more on top of this than I am.
Oh, no.
Oh, good.
We kind of got into this a few minutes ago. What are some of the reasons the Indiana Dunes is a truly unique ecosystem?
I'll start, and then you can jump in. So I would say one of the reasons is just our geographic location. We're in a really unique spot where there's these overlapping, I guess, climate zones, you could call it. I'm sure that's not the technical term, but, the northern versus the southern, east-west, they all kind of converge in this area just by, where we are. So you'll find, Arctic evergreen plants and then cactus species. And like you have all of these really unique plants that you normally wouldn't think that you would find in Indiana, but they're here and they're, like all kind of together. So if you think about, the biodiversity in the plant species is incredible, but our insect and animal species depend on, in some cases, specific plants for their success. Think of like pollinators and having host plants. They have to have this one plant to survive. So because we have all of these different plants, it's, it gives us the ability to support so many different insect and animal species as well. So it's just by chance of where we are, it's kind of amazing how much life is able to be supported here. And then I also think just the makeup of our region, like the proximity to Chicago and the fact that, we have a national park that's sharing borders with communities and industry. And it's very complex, and that poses a lot of challenges, but I think it also creates a lot of opportunities for, collaboration and, kind of figuring out how we're doing conservation in an urban park. It's complicated, but it's incredibly rewarding.
Yeah, I wouldn't add anything to that except for to say that everything Katie said is correct. But I would say, yeah, absolutely. Like the bird species. I mean, I was just, I'm taking the Indiana Master Naturalist course for the state park, and they had, an ornithologist come in who studies birds. That's like what he did his PhD in. And he was talking about how so many people come from all around the world just to come to Northwest Indiana, just to find a specific bird or just to find a specific, type of insect or something like that. So it's like a very good destination spot around, I guess, like worldwide for these people who are really into, like birding or like finding a specific insect or, like any type of species that you would maybe want to be interested in or get more information on. This is kind of the place to go and get that information or get interested in the first place. So yeah, absolutely.
You can check out the Indiana Dunes Birding Festival coming up in May, right?
Yeah, that's coming up. Yeah, Birds of Prey Jamboree was also last week. I mean, it's crazy. There's
lots of bird stuff.
Yeah, I didn't know anything about birding, and people are really into it. They're very into it.
Birding.
I thought it was like a joke, too. I was like, oh, and then like people, they will wake up at 6 a.m. sometimes just to find that specific bird. So it is
when the birds are, they're migrating south, they're following the lake often. And, when the lake stops, here you are. You're here. So they're, this huge migration of birds comes through every spring and fall.
Yeah.
So it's amazing.
Yeah.
All right. And then there are 3 program areas of Save the Dunes. I have it written down: conservation advocacy and community engagement. Can you explain how Save the Dunes focuses on these facets?
Sure. I think we talked a little bit about this earlier, but our conservation work involves a lot of partnerships and collaboration, finding funding for land managers to address threats to protected lands. And one of those, the biggest threats being invasive species. So that's something that we focus on a lot with all of our partners. Our advocacy work focuses primarily on water protection, and we coordinate that roundtable of partners who meet regularly to discuss water pollution prevention strategies. We're having conversations with industry in our region to try and work towards improving communication and sharing best practices with the goal of creating a culture of pollution prevention in Northwest Indiana. And we also do lobbying, like with Great Lakes Day, and we're picking things up at the state level as well. So we're very excited to have Harshini on board so that we can expand our capacity in that area in the coming months and years. And then on the community engagement side of things, it's just about connecting with people in our region to share information, not only about the work that we're doing, but how the average person can really make a difference in protecting the incredible biodiversity that you find in this region.
Yeah, absolutely. And I would say like our organization, is a member-based organization. We don't, we started because people were passionate about saving the dunes, right? So we really kind of try and go out and engage with the community more and do more tabling events, get more involved with different counties, making sure that we are doing our job, making sure that we're doing the effort and getting out there and making sure that people are able to find us as well. I've talked to so many people at these tabling events who were just like, oh, I've lived here, in Chesterton or Valparaiso, and I've never seen you guys, or, I've never heard of Save the Dunes. Could I learn more? And so it kind of is like a snowball effect of, getting somebody interested in environmental activism or environmental advocacy. Like, I love those conversations. I've had so many with students or the youth where they'll just come up and be like, I didn't know you could do this as a job. Like, I didn't know that I could do this and go to school for this, or how do I like get more involved with, volunteering in my own community. So it's really amazing to go out and meet the general public and talk about all these issues.
Can you tell us about Great Lakes Day and how that event went this year?
Yeah, I'm sure Katie can give you her spiel, but so it was amazing. So like I said, we went to Great Lakes Day this March 7th through the 9th, and we were in Washington, D.C., as part of the Healing Our Waters Great Lakes Coalition. So this coalition basically is a very big coalition. It has about 174 different nonprofits around the entire Great Lakes area. So not only our state, but like New York, Michigan, Illinois, of course. And so it focuses on bipartisan water policy issues. And so we are the state lead for the Healing Our Waters Great Lakes Coalition. And so we had a group of advocates go to DC and talk to Congressman Moran, Congressman Yakam, and then the two senator staffers who focus on environmental issues. And we talked about everything from, the new changing of the Clean Water Act definition, specifically the Waters of the United States definition change. We also talked about Great Lakes Restoration Initiative funding. So there's a effort in the budget to have $425 million be set aside for Great Lakes Restoration Initiative funding. So just trying to ask these senators and congressmen to support that bill and that number. And then another thing we talked about was combined sewer overflows. So, all these different Great Lakes issues that are bipartisan and that all of the Great Lakes states are concerned about are something that we talked about with all of our representatives. And just, it was such a great time. We met a lot of different staffers as well. So making those connections, making that networking connection as well was really important to us. So I think it went really well. We do this once every year. So we're going to go back next year and, the year after that. But, the Great Lakes issues pretty much stay the same for the most part, but for instance, like the Great Lakes Restoration Initiative funding, we just asked for a whole lot more money. So hopefully, fingers crossed, that they support it, so that we can get more of this money to our area and improve all the different conservation efforts that we're really proud of and want to continue.
Does the Save the Dunes organization accept new members? If interested in joining, how could one go about doing that?
Oh, yeah, sure. So we do, of course, accept new members. We're a member-based organization. So if you wanted to join, there's a couple of different ways. You could find us at our tabling events. If you just see us in person, I love that. Please come up and say hi. Don't be shy. I love talking to new people. Another way you could do that is going on our website at savedunes.org, and there should be a section that says join on the top right, and you can sign up for our newsletter. And then there's also an events page. So if you want to come to our in-person events and just see us there, we have a sign on there and just kind of see what we're involved in, what we're doing in the area. Please do so.
Yeah, I would say the primary way would be to go to our website.
Yeah.
Just sign up there.
Yeah. But please, we are starting to do a lot more events, especially with it being summer or spring, technically summer-ish. So this is tabling season is what I call it. So we're going to be out there. We're going to have a lot of different events coming up. So please do come out and say hi to us. We love meeting everyone, and please do, shoot me an email. Feel free. I love hearing from the public. I love to get more involved. So absolutely. Check us out.
Does Save the Dunes have any upcoming events? Program will air mid-April. I didn't know that. Okay. Does Save the Dunes have any upcoming events? Where can those interested go to find more information about these and other future outings or meetings?
We do have some upcoming events. Again, you can go to our website, savedunes.org, and you'll see an upcoming events page there where we, keep that updated with everything that we have coming up. I know in late April we're planning a mushroom hike at the state park, which should be a lot of fun. And then May we have a volunteer cleanup day at our offices at the historic Barker House in Michigan City. So there's we're going to be adding new things, as we confirm dates. We also have a monthly reoccurring speaker series that is broadcast live on our Facebook page. It's called Green Drinks. And so every month we have a different speaker talking about some sort of environmental green topic. So that will be on our website as well, but you can follow us on Facebook and and check it out. It's really informative and gotta love free.
Yeah. The only thing I would add is on May 4th, Star Wars Day, we're going to be at Miller. So there is a Miller water safety tabling event at night. So I'm going to be there and present some of our advocacy stuff. So if you're in the area, please come to that. That's May 4th at 5 to 7, I believe. So yeah, there's a couple of advocacy things I'm trying to get out to the public and show them our pretty flyers and pretty fact sheets. So please come out and say hi.
All right, this segues pretty well. Are there volunteer opportunities coming up now that the weather's getting warmer?
We do have the one volunteer opportunity where we're going to be doing like our cleanup on our grounds. So, like moving sticks and working we're working on a pollinator garden at our office. So we'll be doing some gardening, which should be a lot of fun. We don't have too many volunteer opportunities typically. Say maybe, once every other month. So if we would recommend checking out the Indiana Dunes National Park or the Indiana Dunes State Park because they have really robust volunteer programs. So if you're, looking for something more, you're looking for a consistent opportunity, that might be a good place to look.
Yeah.
All right. Has there been anything recently since your time joining the organization that you're personally proud of?
There's so many great opportunities that you've wrote, and
I write a lot of grants. I think for me, what I'm most proud of is probably growing our team. It was, a smaller program team previously, and then last year we had the opportunity to restructure, and we brought on Harshini as our advocacy coordinator. We brought on a community engagement coordinator, so we're getting more thoughtful and concise about how we're doing our work, and getting really, really talented folks to join our team. So I would say that's probably what I'm most proud of, just the team that I get to work with.
Oh man, I can't beat that. Yeah, no, I would say that, absolutely. I was just going to say Great Lakes Day because I was so proud of our team, but that
I'm
works
so proud
too.
of our team. It was amazing. You did a wonderful job.
Very good. Our team, plug for Indiana's team versus all the other teams. So I feel for most of the coalition teams, I think our team is we have that Hoosier thing to us where we're very friendly with each other. And so I think we had Kimmy Gordon from Brown Pieces Green Spaces. We had our board president, Nancy, join us, and one of the new members from National Parks Conservation Association also joined us. So we have this great dynamic of, just being friendly with each other and having a great time. So I think we had a little bit, I kept telling the HAL staff that we maybe had too much fun, and they were like, oh no, it's fine. We have fun. We have a lot of fun.
Thing.
Yeah, no such thing. But I think Great Lakes Day, first of all, just meeting the senators the senator staff and the congressman, especially Congressman Yakum, because he is quite new. So just kind of, introducing us as an organization and of course as the coalition team was really important. So just doing more networking as well was great.
Can you think of some easy ways that residents of Northwest Indiana can contribute to the success and stewardship of our Indiana Dunes?
There are so many ways. Oh my goodness. I could talk for hours on this topic. So I would say the easiest way would be to recreate responsibly. When you're out in our natural areas, always stay on designated trails. Even if you see, a smaller trail off into the distance that, somebody has followed, and we call those social trails, but that is damaging the plants in that ecosystem. And the more those social trails are followed, the more damaging it becomes. So staying on designated paths, of course, always, packing out what you bring in, don't leave litter, just be respectful of the natural spaces that you're in. It's probably just the basis. Hopefully everyone's already doing this, but needs to be said. I'd say if you want to do a little bit more, planting native plants in your garden, your balcony, one plant makes a difference. Our pollinators are in trouble, and it's one thing to create, quality natural habitat in the national park or, at a nature preserve. But pollinators don't understand boundaries. They're going to keep flying to your yard, and if there's nothing for them to eat, that is a problem. So the more that we can basically expand the boundaries of the park by creating habitat in our yards, that is going to impact all wildlife and really help with connectivity in our very fragmented region. We have a pollinator garden landscaping guide on our website that I will plug. If you go to savedunes.org/resources, you'll see it on there. And that gives some suggestions on plants that you can put into your garden based on, if you have sun or shade or sandy or wet, whatever the case may be. And it's very beautiful, and you can learn about pollinators as well. So I would recommend going over there and downloading your free copy. And then the last thing I would suggest is, find conservation organizations that make sense to you, that you care about, that you connect with their mission, and follow them. Follow them for, updates on things they're working on. And we, if Save the Dunes is your organization, I hope that it is, but we post, action alerts when something is happening, if there's legislation that we need people to speak up for, or if there's some kind of pollution event that we need people to be aware of for safety reasons, or, if there's, we need them to reach out to someone to take action. There's a lot of information you can gain by just following the organizations that you care about, volunteering if you can, donating if you can. That's really a wonderful way to support conservation. And if you're really interested in it, pursuing it as a career, because there is a serious need for talented, passionate individuals to go into the conservation field. There's a gap. People are having a hard time hiring people, and so this is a great audience to if this is something you're interested, if you care about the Indiana Dunes, there's a lot of ways that you can support it. It's not necessarily through conservation, but this is a wonderful way to do it in a very hands-on manner.
Absolutely. The only thing I would add is Shirley Hines would definitely love that, because I was talking to their program director, and she was talking about how, they really desperately, need some really strong help and support when it comes to conservation and their properties. So absolutely, if there's something that you're passionate about, if it's conservation, please do so. I would say advocacy-wise, just staying informed, as Katie was talking about, it doesn't have to be specifically water events. If there's something environmentally related that really sparks your interest, if it's something that's personally connected to you, that's even better. I say every time when I go and lobby, if it's DC or if it's here, if it's local, just making that personal connection is always a big go-to. They don't want to hear from, these experts with all their statistics, all their numbers. They want to have a personal connection to them, right? That's what speaks to people. And so when you go talk to the senator staff or the congressman staff, first of all, I would say don't be scared. You don't need to be an expert in it, right? But just having that passion and explaining that to them and saying, hey, I'm in front of you talking about this because I live in this place, or I'm passionate about this specific topic. That is much more impactful than coming in with a bunch of numbers that maybe are kind of, just don't have that personal connection to it. That would be my whole take, advocacy wise. And I would say, same as Katie, there is definitely a gap in the Northwest Indiana region when it comes to advocacy as well. We have a lot of work to do, and I would absolutely encourage people, especially if this is a career path that you want to do, because I know when I was going to law school and undergrad, I didn't know this was a career path. I was like, oh, you can take your law career or your science background and then go into advocacy. I had no idea that you can connect science and advocacy and policy related and community engagement in the same job. So if this is something, listener, if this is something that you want to do, I 100% encourage you to look at other nonprofit organizations in our area. It's not just us. We have a whole team of other partners in our area that do some of the same type of work, but do other things as well. So if there's something that you're excited and passionate about, I am sure that there is an organization for you that would love to have your volunteer time or your passion for them as well.
Save the Dunes gives out 2 environmental awards per year. Can you explain these awards and then tell us who some of the recent winners are?
Sure. We award 2. Every year at our annual meeting, we give out 2 awards. The first is the Paul H. Douglas Memorial Award, which is given for outstanding service to the cause of preserving and protecting the Indiana Dunes. And that, of course, is named after Senator Paul Douglas, who was instrumental in protecting the Indiana Dunes as the Indiana Dunes National Lakeshore. The most recent winner in 2022 was Paul Labovitz, and he is the superintendent for the Indiana Dunes National Park. We're honored to give him that award. And then our other award is the Dorothy Buell Youth Environmental Award, and that is given in recognition of an individual or group between the ages of 13 and 24 who've shown outstanding stewardship towards the environment within the Lake Michigan watershed. And that's a newer award. Last year, it was given to the 7th and 8th graders at Barker and Kruger Middle Schools in Michigan City. They started a recycling program with the city of Michigan City. It was really, really quite amazing. So we're glad to be able to give them some recognition for all their efforts.
Is there anything else that I haven't given you the chance to talk about that you'd like to mention about the Save the Dunes organization?
I just want people to so my position is very new, and so we're still trying to figure out what we want to do, but I am very excited about doing more with the public, and so just getting out there. And so I would say to the listeners, if there's anything that you would like us to know about, please, my information is on our website. Please email me at any time. I love kind of meeting different Hoosiers, especially, not being from here and coming up here and learning about all the different caveats when it comes to the environmental sector. I love learning about different things. So please, feel free to reach out to me. I love to learn more about everything environmental related in the Hoosier area. So that's the only thing I would say.
Yeah, I would just like to underscore the question we were talking about earlier of what other people can do. How can you help with preserving and protecting the Indiana Dunes region? I think a lot of times we think there's a national park and they have it covered, right? Good deal. They've got the resources. They know what they're doing. I don't need to worry about it. And that's, while, the former is true, the latter is not. They do know what they're doing and they have resources, but there's always more that can be done. And it really does take a community to, number one, care, to learn about and care about the incredible biodiversity. I've probably said that 50 times, but it really is amazing what we have here. So for people to get curious about it, to go and learn about the plants and the animals, or maybe it's the connection to the communities in those areas. Just find something that interests you and learn about it and participate in the process of protecting what we have here, because it really is amazing. We have a lot of reputations in Northwest Indiana, and some of them aren't great, but one of them is that this is a beautiful place for the Indiana Dunes, for the conservation of natural land. And so we just gotta, especially here in Chesterton, you have some of the best parts of the park. I think I would just underscore that I would just encourage everyone to get curious, get involved, get outside, and give to the organizations that matter to you if you're able. Yeah.
The only thing I would add is, this is more of a program thing, but so when it comes to the public trust, we have a lot of people that are just oh, well, the shoreline is protected, the end, right? Yes, but is what I would say. So we still do have a lot of activity there. Usually it's not in our favor. So we do have a lot of different private owners and different towns that will have objections to what the Indiana statute or the Indiana law or government is saying, which is that any Hoosier should be allowed to walk on the Lake Michigan shoreline. So I would say maybe just stay informed, as Katie was talking about. Definitely, subscribe to the local newspaper. So if it's Northwest Indiana Times, if it's, the LaPorte Herald, that's what I check as well, there's a lot of things happening. And, especially even today, I think there was a article about, was it LaPorte Parks I think it was Portage Parks, bought a 1.2 million plot of land in Lake County. And so, that's crazy. That just happened today. That was in the Northwest Indiana Times today. So just, stay informed. There's always something insane going on. So it's always a fun time. Something always to learn, especially when it comes to advocacy. But, it's great. And, please reach out. stay involved or get involved.
All right. We're wrapping up. If someone wanted to find out more about any of this, where could they find that?
You can head on over to savedunes.org. That is our website, and it contains a ton of information about our organization, the work we do, our history, and how you can get involved, either coming to one of our events, becoming a member, donating, whatever it is you're interested in. I'd highly recommend signing up for our e-newsletter, which you can do on our website. We send out a monthly newsletter just with updates and opportunities to connect with us, and follow us on social. We have Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter.
Yeah. And we just got a new website. It's brand new. So it's very pretty. It's very, very pretty. There's awesome animations. There's a seagull there. So, if you like seagulls.
You got to check out the
Check out our website if you like seagulls.
All right. That's a good note to end on. That's going to wrap things up for this week's edition of the Porter County Perspective. I'd like to thank Harshini and Katie for coming in once again. This has been Jo Parlock of WDSO signing off.